start here again. I got us with a small teaching, a short teaching rather, on the Feast of First Fruits. We're going to be coming from Leviticus chapter 23, verses 9 through 14. And then I'll go into other scripture that mentions first fruits with regard to Sabbaths and festivals, etc. So let's get started. Leviticus chapter 23, verses 9 through 14. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When ye be come into the land which I give unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then ye shall bring a sheaf, which is an omer, of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest. And he shall wave the sheaf or the omer before Yahuwah to be accepted for you. On the morrow after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it. And ye shall offer that day, when you wave the sheaf, an omer, he lamb without blemish of the first year, for a burnt offering unto Yahuwah. And the meat offering thereof shall be 2/10 deals of fine flour mingled with oil, an offering made by fire unto Yahuwah for a sweet savor. And the drink offering thereof shall be of wine, the fourth part of a hin. That's the measurement, how much wine. Verse 14, And ye shall eat neither bread, nor parched corn, nor green ears, until the selfsame day that you have brought an offering unto Yahuwah your Elohim. It should be a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. Hallelujah. So the first fruits, basically it's like, when does this happen? Who is to do it first? First people that are supposed to do it are Israel, or those strangers that are grafted in, that come in to live amongst Israel. Hallelujah. The second is what? We're talking about the first fruits of your harvest, your spring harvest and your summertime harvest. So that's when it occurs. And how it's done, like it said, it's you're to bring those first fruits unto the priest, and then they're to do a wave offering. A sheaf is about an omer, and then there is subsequent amounts that you're supposed to sacrifice for the first fruits at different times of during the harvest for different occasions. So we're going to go through some of those scriptures really quickly, but we're going to start in the book of Exodus. And I'm going to start in Exodus chapter 8, I believe it is. No, Deuteronomy chapter 8. I'm going to start there. And specifically because in Deuteronomy it actually talks about what harvest, what fruits, what grains, barley, wheat is comes at what time of the year for which offering. So let me get to Deuteronomy chapter 8 really quickly. I think I already have it up. So yeah. So I'm going to read Deuteronomy chapter 8, verses 1 through 8. And let me change this really quickly. And then we'll go into some of the other books of the Bible that talk about first fruits. Hallelujah. So it says, All the commandments which I command thee this day shall ye observe to do, that ye may live and multiply, and go in and possess the land which Yahuwah sware unto your fathers, our fathers. And thou shalt remember all the way which the Yahuwah thy Elohim led these 40 years in the wilderness, to humble thee and to prove thee, to know what was in thine heart, whether thou wouldest keep his commandments or not. Verse 3, And he humbled thee and suffered thee to hunger, and fed thee with manna which thou knewest not, neither did thy fathers know, that he might make thee know that man doth not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded out of the mouth of Yahuwah doth a man live. Verse 4, Thy raiment waxed not old upon thee, neither did thy foot swell these 40 years. Thou shalt also consider thine heart, that as a man chasteneth his son, so does Yahuwah thy Elohim chastise you, or thee. Therefore thou shalt keep the commandments of Yahuwah thy Elohim, to walk in his ways and to fear him. Verse 7, For Yahuwah thy Elohim bringeth thee into a good land, a land of brooks of water, of fountains and depths that spring out of valleys and hills. And this land will produce a land, verse 8, a land of wheat, barley, vines, fig trees, pomegranates, and land of oil, olive, and honey. So those are what you sacrifice instead, in light of these feasts, you also sacrifice lambs and goat as well. But we're going to focus on just the first fruits, right? But it's it's throughout all your increase. So let's go back and let's look at Leviticus chapter. Let's look at Exodus chapter 23, and which is it's given some laws concerning the laws and the Sabbaths and the festivals. So verse 23, Exodus 23 and 16, and the feast of harvest, the first fruits of thy labor, the first fruits of the crop which thou hast sown in the field, and the feast of ingathering, which is the end of the year, when thou hast gathered in thy labors the first fruits of the crops which thou hast sown in the field, out of the field. So this is when we do it. You do it through the post-harvest season, the spring and the summer harvest. And the first, verse 19, the first of the first fruits of thy land shalt thou bring into the house of Yahuwah thy Elohim. Thou shalt not seize, boil, or kid young goat in his mother's milk. We go down to verse 22, and thou shalt observe the feast of weeks, of the first fruits of wheat harvest, and the feast of ingathering at the end year. So these are descriptions that's actually specific towards first fruits. But we can move on down. We can go into, let's look at Numbers. We can see this in Numbers as well. It says, all the best of the oil and all the best of the wine and of the wheat and the first fruits of them which they shall offer unto Yahuwah, them have I given thee. So these, whatever Yahuwah has given us in our increase, we're the, to give offerings of first fruits and tithes as well. So we're going to go into the offering of first fruits and tithes now. We can look in Deuteronomy chapter 26 verse 10. And now behold, I have brought the first fruits of the land which thou, O Yahuwah, hast given me, and thou shalt set it before Yahuwah thy Elohim and worship before him. We can move down to the obligations of the covenant in Nehemiah chapter 10 verse 35, and to bring the first fruits of our ground and the first fruits of all fruit of all trees year by year unto the house of Yahuwah. So these are continuing feasts that we do at the spring harvest and the summer harvest. We offer these first fruits. Now this is not the summation of it or all of it, but we're just talking about the feast of first fruits right here. Hallelujah. So we can look down in Nehemiah chapter 10 verse 35 with obligations of the covenant. It said, and to bring the first fruits of our ground and the first fruits of all fruit of all trees year by year until the house of Yahuwah. 36, also the firstborn of our sons and of our cattle, as it is written in the law, and the firstlings of our herds and of our flocks, to bring to the house of our Elohim unto the priests that minister in the house of Yahuwah. So these are continuous, these are obligations of the covenant. These are things that we're supposed to do as Israel in all our dwellings throughout our generations. Verse 37, and that we should bring the first fruits of our dough and of our offerings and the fruit of all manner of trees, of wine and of oil unto the priest, to the chambers of the house of our Elohim Yahuwah, and the tithes of our ground unto the Levites, that the same Levites might have the tithes in all the cities of our tillage. Hallelujah. So we can even see this first fruits mentioned in service in the temple for the Levites. We go to Nehemiah 12 and 44, and at that time were some appointed over the chambers for the treasures, for the offering, for the first fruits, and for the tithes, to gather into them out of the fields of the cities the portions of the law for the priests and the Levites. For Judah rejoiced for the priests and for the Levites that waited. Hallelujah. So this even spills over. We can see this continuing in Nehemiah. We can see in Proverbs 3 and 9, it says, honor Yahuwah with thy substance and with the first fruits of all thine increase. So these are us thanking the Most High for everything He's given us, and He's set in place feasts, specifically the feast of first fruits, and tithes and offering. He set a point, ordinances, how we're to do this, and how we take care of our Levitical priesthood and the priests that tend to the work in the temple, right? That have been that's their portion. Let's go on down to. Let's go down to, we can see it in Jeremiah and Jeremiah chapter 2 and 3, and it mentions it here. It says, Israel was holiness unto Yahuwah, and the first fruits of his increase. All that devour him shall offend evil shall come upon them, saith Yahuwah. So this is like Israel as a nation are the first fruits. We're the first fruits of that belong to Yahuwah, the nation, the physical people, a lineage, a bloodline. And he's saying here, all that devour him shall offend, evil shall come upon them, saith Yahuwah. So Yahuwah is saying, this is what will happen to you if you do this, or if you forsake his covenant. Hallelujah. Let's keep going. Let's see here. We can go down to Ezekiel 44 and 30. This is rules for Levitical priests. And the first of all the first fruits of all things, and every oblation of every sort of oblation shall be the priest. Ye shall also give unto the priest the first of your dough, that he may cause the blessing to rest in your house. Continual how you give the Levitical priests their portion, because remember, they weren't portioned off land. They didn't get a swath of land in Israel. Their inheritance is the temple itself, is in service to Yahuwah, our Elohim. Hallelujah. So let's keep going. We don't have much more to go. Let's see. First fruits is even mentioned in the New Testament in relation to Yahusha HaMashiach. It says 1 Corinthians 15:20, but now is Christ or Yahusha risen from the dead and become the first fruits of them that slept. So meaning that Yahusha was the first that died a physical death and was resurrected. He's considered the first fruits of them that have passed on, that have died. Hallelujah. And let's look here. And then in book of Revelation, we can see in Revelation chapter 14, verse 4, where it refers to first fruits with regard to the Lamb and the 144,000. So we'll read verse 4. These are they which were not defiled by women. These are the 144,000, for they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto Yahuwah and to the Lamb. So this 144,000, these men that had not been defiled by women, that were, I guess you could say pledged themselves, or they followed Yahushua HaMashiach wherever he goeth, and they were the first redeemed among men, being the first fruits of unto Yahuwah and to the HaMashiach. Hallelujah. Shalom.